Hey guys, I wanted to make a video for you. This is about what to expect week 2, week 1, and everything else coming up for the next week of the challenge. So, the first thing I want to cover is the most important thing coming up, which is the weekend. So, most people are successful during the week because, quite honestly, they get into a routine, right? They have work, they have a schedule, they have all their kids stuff is organized, all their work stuff is organized, and they can schedule their meals and their workouts accordingly. Saturdays and Sundays tend to be the two biggest days where people will screw up their diet. So, with that in mind, make sure again, Saturday night is your cheat meal. If, let's say, for example, you chose to do 4 meals per day, you're going to do 3 meals, and then your last meal would be a cheat meal. Now, keep in mind also, it's no carb, okay? Now, the cheat meal, you can have whatever you want, but the other 3 meals, we want to really avoid carbs. And then follow the plan going into next week. So next week will be all low carb days, so that you'll notice on the schedule, in the document, in the Facebook page, or on the members website, the one with the food list, the same document that we use for everything, will give you a layout of week 2, and every day is low carb day next week. Okay, so the biggest thing for you to understand is that what we're trying to do week 1 again is we're trying to get those glycogen stores depleted down to nothing. Okay, that's the number one thing that we're trying to do week 1. So for those of you who have seen these monster numbers, okay, understand that that's not fat. Okay, no one lost 13 pounds of fat in a week. That would be like crucially terrible for your body, right? But average of 1 to 3 pounds per week is what we want. If you're losing 1 to 3 pounds per week, that is healthy fat loss. Okay, that's what we want. That's what our aim is. So that's what you should be focused on. Now, when we cut carbs out, we're going to lose a lot of water weight because our body's not holding that water into the carbs anymore. So you are going to see a little bit more drastic numbers week 1 than you will out of people week 2. Now, that does not mean that some people won't have great weeks, especially considering the fact that they've only dieted for 4 days, and realistically, they still have Friday, most of Saturday, and Sunday to do deplete before they start no carb on Monday. So keep that in mind that we want to make sure that we understand that you are going to get that water weight out of your system, all right? Now, when you add carbs back in, if you look at the low carb days, here's what we're trying to do. All we want to do is we want to take those low carbs and we want to put them in one meal, and that one meal is going to be post-workout. So after your workout, that's the most ideal time to have your carbohydrates. So if, let's say, on your low carb day, you're supposed to have 50 grams of carbohydrates, you eat 50 grams of carbohydrates. If you are a big fruit person, okay, and you really like fruit, Google the fruit, okay? So for instance, if you Google a banana, a regular sized banana or an average banana, I don't know what exactly that means, is about 27 grams of carbs. So again, make sure that if you're choosing fruit, you're not just eating fruit, or even if you're choosing carbs, you're not just randomly eating carbs. Make sure that you're trying to eat them post-workout. If you're not working out that day, try to eat them typically around the time you would normally work out, right? So if you're a morning workout person, try to eat your carbs in the morning. That way it keeps your body on a regular schedule and it keeps the time between carbohydrates consistent. If you're normally a dinner carbohydrate person or a late night workout person or afternoon workout person, you want to have your carbs after that, perfect. Just keep it consistent throughout the week. That's really a big step, okay? Those are your two best times. So if you can't do it post-workout, be consistent. With time of day. It doesn't matter if it's morning or at night, but just be consistent with time of day. Best case scenario in order would be post-workout, first thing in the morning, dinner time. Those would be in that order, okay? So that's what we want to do. Now, I've had a few of you ask about some science questions, and this is what I'm going to cover now. So mixing carbs and fats. The reason that we don't do it on our program, and as I alluded to in my post the other day, is most people, if I say, hey, why is pizza bad for you? Why are nachos bad for you? Why is ice cream bad for you? I will get a myriad of answers, right? Like, it's the carbs, it's the fats, it's this, it's blah, it's just not good. Like, no one has a effing clue, right? Like, that's the bottom line. Most people have no idea. So what happens is our body uses two sources of energy, right? It uses carbohydrates or it uses fats. That's what it uses for fuel. The problem with most unhealthy foods is they take large amounts of both, mix them together, put them into your system at the same time. So now, automatically, by default, your body has to now choose, okay, well, which one am I going to use for energy? Which one am I going to store? So you're automatically storing fat when you mix carbs and fats together. That's why we don't do it on our program, okay? The goal of our program is to not mix carbohydrates with fats. Now, if you want to get even more scientific, okay, Lane Norton, if you don't know who he is, Dr. Lane Norton used to be a natural bodybuilder back in the day, then went and got his PhD. Now he's one of the top nutritional minds on the planet. He's actually one of the founders of If It Fits Your Macro dieting, which is pretty much what we're doing. One of probably my favorite human beings. But in all honesty, what he's found in research study after research study that he does all across the country is protein after your workout. Awesome, right? It's awesome to have protein after your workout. It helps promote muscle growth and protein muscle synthesis in your body, okay? Here's what happens. Protein and carbohydrates, little bit better. You get a little bit better protein muscle synthesis in your body if you do the protein and the carbs post-workout, okay? Now, here was the other cool thing is they took that same study and then they took 40 grams of carbs versus 100 grams of carbs, because you've heard of these people doing these massive post-workout carb meals, right? There was actually zero difference in protein muscle synthesis. What that's telling us is pretty much that's why we have your carbs where they are, is we want to get the advantage out of the carbohydrates, and then we don't need them anymore. Okay, so we want to promote that muscle growth and recovery, and then we want to get back to burning fat. So that's why we do what we do with the carbohydrates. Now, the other reason that we're trying to keep the carbs post-workout is also, and we don't want to mix fat in that meal, is also because what happens when you work out is your body releases growth hormone, which releases insulin into your body, right? So insulin is a storage unit. So if you're releasing a storage unit into your body and then you're consuming fat after you work out, your body has a tendency to want to store it because it's insulin heavy. So that means that your body tends to want to store fat. So what we're trying to do is have that carb window where we're having proteins and carbs post-workout, and then that way at least about 2 to 4 hours afterwards, after our window's already closed, our metabolic window's already closed, then we can have our proteins and our fats again and start burning fat for fuel. So the most optimal way to eat would be that way. Now, the reason that we do week 1 with no carbs, honestly, is 2 reasons, and I'm going to kind of do a spoiler here. But the number one reason that we do no carb week, or deplete week as we call it, whatever you want to call it, is honestly for motivation for you guys, right? So if you ate low carb the whole week, some of you might see bigger numbers, but it's not going to be as drastic, right? Because you don't have that water weight being lost. And that can be discouraging sometimes for people when they eat really, really well, they follow their diet, and they lose 1 to 3 pounds, right? Because that's healthy fat loss. Now, that's a win in everybody's book, but most people don't understand that. They think that, well, it took me, more than 4 days to put this weight on, but it's going to take me less than 4 days to take this weight off. That's not how life works, right? It took you longer than 6 weeks to put the weight that you have on. It's going to take you longer than 6 weeks to take that same weight off, okay? That is fact. That is how it works. That's life. Sorry to spoil your bubble. If you thought you were going to have like the most life-altering transformation in 6 weeks, wrong. Now, that being said, you will have an incredible transformation, and you will see incredible results in 6 weeks. That's guaranteed, right? If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, that's guaranteed. But just understand that 6 weeks does not a lifetime make. So keep that in mind, and we'll go over that more on that later. But we want to get you into these healthy habits. So that's reason number one is you're extremely motivated. Most people, if you lost a significant amount of weight in 4 days, you're pretty motivated, right? Like, you're pretty excited about yourself. You're pretty proud of yourself. And damn it, you should be, because you've worked your ass off for that. And that's commendable. But understand that going forward, we're really going to ramp up fat loss. So keep that in mind in the back of your head, that 1 to 3 pounds is a win. Every single week, if you're losing 1 to 3 pounds, that's a win. Don't expect to see huge, massive weeks every single week, okay? The most weight I've ever seen lost in 6 weeks, John was one of them when he lost 40 pounds in our first challenge. And then I also had a guy, Justin, in Grand Haven, who lost 40 pounds in 6 weeks as well. That's the most I've ever seen in 6 weeks lost, ever. And I've done this 17, 18, 19 times, okay, with thousands and thousands of clients. So if you think about it, if you lose 6 to 18 pounds in the course of 6 weeks of fat, keep in mind of fat, you're going to see a huge difference from a picture standpoint, an inches standpoint. And that's part of the reason that we want you to take the pictures in the inches, is because you're going to notice the massive difference there. But the scale, you're going to see 1 to 3 pounds a week. And that's a win, and that's what we're looking for. So just wanted to go into a little bit of nerd science with you. And then the last thing I wanted to cover, I know this video is getting a little long, is sneaking small cheats and eyeballing food. Those are the two biggest things that are going to sabotage your results, right? If you're going to stick to the nutrition plan and you're going to eat off the list anyway and do those two things, you might as well measure the shit out and make sure that you're doing it right, so that as coaches, we know exactly how to help you should you stall out, okay? Here's the biggest thing is people think, oh, I did really well last week. Well, I can throw a little bit of this in there, or I can have this cheat here because it's not going to be that big of a deal because it's only a little bit. Bullshit. You deserve incredible results. You don't deserve to cheat on yourself. You do not deserve to have M&Ms. You do not deserve to have a glass of wine. You don't deserve any of that shit. What you deserve is results, period. That's what you deserve. And if you want results, you have to put in the work. You have to be disciplined. Save your cheat, save whatever you're craving for that Saturday night cheat meal, enjoy it, and then let's move forward and let's get these results, right? Let's make this the time that we don't start over. Eyeballing is the number one thing you are all going to want to do. Week 1, week 2, it's not as big of a problem. Week 3 and week 4, you're going to find yourself doing it. Don't do it. I had a client last challenge who literally ate off the list, but she never measured a damn thing, and she did terrible. I've had this happen every challenge. And then when she comes to me and says, or he comes to me and says, oh, well, I didn't have a good week, but I ate up the list. That's irrelevant. If I ate 4,800 calories of chicken and fruit, technically that's on the list. That's not healthy. Right? So you need to make sure you're hitting your numbers. As a coach, if you're hitting your numbers and you stall out, your coach can tweak some numbers and get you right back on track and right back into healthy fat loss. If you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing nutritionally, you're going to have a crappy week. You're going to get discouraged. You're not going to be happy with your results, and it's your fault. It's not my fault. I can't control what you put in your mouth, right? Stick to the list. Keep it simple. That's the number one thing. Lastly, and this is what I'm going to leave you with, if you make a mistake, it's okay. I've had 3 or 4 clients this week who were counting wrong, were dividing wrong, were adding wrong, were just not doing it, were saying they were eating healthy, were doing all this stuff, and then they figured out what they're doing. And I also had a lot of progress reports where, oh, the first couple of days I did this, I realized that was a mistake. Awesome. If you're learning, right, it's a learning process. You guys aren't going to be perfect 3 weeks in. You're just not going to be, or 4 days in. You're just not going to be perfect. It's going to take you time. Our clients who did the first 6-week program, I promise you, they're going to tell you the same thing. They messed up several times, and they still did phenomenal, right? If you mess up, that's fine. Just figure out how you messed up and move forward. If you don't understand something or you think something's wrong, perfect. Ask. We will help you. It doesn't matter whose team you're on. Our goal as a staff is to get you the best results. That's what we do. That's what we love. That's what we live for. So we will get you there. But what you need to do is understand that there is a lot of onus on you to do this, but you also have us as resources. You are not bugging us to ask questions. You are not being annoying to ask questions. Our job is to help you. We get paid to help you. You are paying for us to help you. Use us as a resource. That is your job, is to use us as a resource, okay? We love doing this. This is what we truly are passionate about doing. So you're not bugging us. You're not bugging me. I have about 70 more progress reports I have to answer. So I'm going to get back to that. But I just wanted to give you a quick video on what to expect going into week 2 and cover some big things that typically people will ask going into the second week. Hope you have an incredible weekend. You stay safe. You enjoy your cheat meal. And I'll see you on Monday.